Alright guys, so today I want to talk to you about Andrew's car, how he come about getting that car, and how it got to be what it is today. Along the way, I'll be showing you a few pictures of the car for reference, and we'll also talk about this car a little bit. Basically, I have a lot of people ask, what's the deal with your cars? Give us a little bit of a history lesson. So that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to take you back to when we first bought Andrew's car. Rewind to about 2010, I think it was, when we purchased this car. This car come from a mutual friend of myself and my dad's. So I got a phone call one day from my dad and said, you have got to see this Fox body that's out here where I work. It's got a set of wheels on it, but other than that, it's all factory. So I was intrigued from the beginning. I'm like, okay, I've got to see this car. So one day I have to go out and see my dad, and when I get out there, I pass by the car, I see what he's talking about, and I'm just in love. So these are the pictures of the car the way that it looked the day that I bought it. He's actually the guy that I bought the green Ventura from. I'll show you a little picture here. We'll get into that car one day too. But for right now, this is about the Fox body. I hounded him about it long enough, and guys, I want to say I paid $4,500 for that car. This is in 2010. I think it was like 80 something thousand miles. Pretty much all bone stock, except for the wheels. I can't even remember if it had a shifter in it. It might have even had a stock shifter. So really nice car, perfect daily driver, everything on it worked. Immediately, one of the first things that I did to the car was lower it. So we went ahead and lowered it, and the car looked pretty good after we did that, but it needed paint. So I immediately jumped on paint after we lowered it. I actually have a few pictures right here that I'll show you guys. I jumped on this in my buddy's backyard. At the time, I was living in an apartment complex, so I couldn't really do a lot. So I had to go to Joe Nate's house. I went into the backyard with a sander, and I just started sanding this thing, working on it, fixing a few spots here and there, and before you know it, it was ready for paint. Once we got there, I ended up changing my mind on the color. I had the factory colors, just like it come from the factory, which I probably should have kept because it's fairly rare color combo. You don't see that a lot, but I went ahead and changed it up. What we did was go with a black up top and the smoke effect gray down at the bottom, because the smoke effect gray was up top and obviously the silver was at the bottom, but I wanted to change it up. So we went black up top, smoke effect gray at the bottom, but as you can see in the pictures, we had just a bunch of trash. The paint just really didn't turn out right.
And now I'm ready, taking over, 'cause every day I'm getting closer. Just look at everything I'll show ya. And now I'm ready, I'ma blow up. Yeah.
So we scratched that, we went and bought some more paint, but this time we bought Tuxedo black, and this time it worked out really good. Now the car still had a little bit of trash in it, it had some orange peel, but that's what wet sanding and buffing is for. Wet sanded and buffed this whole car by myself, really without ever doing it before. I researched it on YouTube, I learned how to do it, and it turned out near flawless, guys. I'll show you some before pictures and some after pictures. It was probably one of my favorite paint jobs ever. This car is, I'd probably say second. But that car just really worked. It looked like a factory paint job in a sense, but you know, they never put the smoked gray at the bottom, that dark gray. It was always a bright silver at the bottom, which looks really good too. And obviously they never put Tuxedo black, which is a metallic black on top. So next step was to do a camshaft. Car had the looks. I had went in, redone the interior, just like updating some stuff, dyeing some stuff, making this thing really pop. But next up, the sound needed to match the look. So once again, I purchased a B-cam. Just real quick, like, I'll explain the whole B-cam thing. If you're new to this channel, I like B-cams. Pretty much put them in all my cars. I'm not saying that they make the most power or anything along those lines. They're just really easy to come by, and it's kind of that nostalgic thing. It just seems to be what we do. We'll get more into the cam side of this thing later on, but for right now, let's keep moving. So we put a B-cam in the car just basically for sound, and boy did it sound good. But this was one of the first times that I had really run into issues with bass idle resets and stuff like that. Like the car would not idle properly. I come across the bass idle reset, but I had to tweak it some. You know, it got the car to idle good, but then later on down the road, it would, like, you know, it would start to idle high. It wouldn't idle at all. It would surge whenever it was hot and you restarted the car. So that forced me to really figure out exactly what drives these cars, what makes these things tick. So I did a lot of research, I did a lot of trial and error, and I think I've come up with a really good fix for the bass idle reset. And it all started with Andrew's car because it did give me a lot of trouble. But this car was a great daily driver. Myself and Joe Nate used to take this thing to Tennessee and Kentucky. We even went on up into Illinois plenty of times. Matter of fact, we took this car to Metropolis, Illinois. I'll show you a couple pictures right here of the trip. I'll show you my two boys. So this goes to show that these cars can be daily driven. I mean, it's a Fox body. It's an older car. They're going to have issues, but at the same time, they absolutely can be daily driven. I mean, this thing had heat, it had AC, it rode good, and it got 25 miles to the gallon on the way up there. Believe that. So time come, Andrew started driving, and he ended up with my car. I actually took him to his first job in that car, and if I can find it, I'll show you the picture of the day that actually he was getting ready, getting dressed for his first job. So he really has an attachment to it. He was there every step of the way of me working on it. He loves this car still to this day. He's not ever going to sell it. He wants to continue to build it. One of the first things that Andrew wanted to do with the car was carburate it, which I'm not completely against. I actually like a carbureted Fox. There's just something special about them. As long as you're not cutting the wiring harness or anything like that, you can always go back, right? So it took us a few hours, probably 3 or 4 hours. If you guys are interested in the carburet, like what it takes to carburate a fuel injected Fox, let me know down below, and if we can make that happen and we ever get a car in here that needs it, then I will absolutely do a video on it. So we carbureted Andrew's car, and you know, him and Joe Nate tuned the car, got it running really good. Car now has a 125 shot of nitrous on it. It has a built C4 transmission. It has a nice little stall in it. I don't know exactly what stall it is. It has a really good stall in the car though, and it has 355 gears with a built rear end. He still wanted to drive the car, so he left the 355s in it, and the car runs really good. You know, and this is where I always say Fox bodies are quick cars. No, they're not going to go out there and roll race with these new, you know, Corvettes and Hellcats and, you know, hypercars. No, of course not. I mean, you can build them to, sure, but like with your simple GT40 setup with a little bit of nitrous, some gears, and stuff like that, maybe even a turbo kit, these things are pretty potent. And Andrew's car really is. Andrew's car is it's quick. If you get out there and you half step and you spin, you're going to have to catch that car. Anyway, guys, that's where Andrew's car is. That's kind of how it got to this point. He absolutely loves this thing. He has no intentions of ever getting rid of it. He just wants to continue to push forward with it. Now, he does have a new engine to put in the car that him and Joe Nate are actually building right now. They're almost done with it. So at some point this year, that should go in the car. I'm not going to give any specifications on it right now, but it'll be a pretty good bit hotter of a setup than what he's got in there right now. It should run really good. I just wanted to kind of touch on this, mainly show you some pictures. Nobody wants to stand here and look at me the whole time, so hopefully there were enough pictures to keep you occupied. And there's not really much else to say about that car. It was probably one of my favorite Fox bodies that I've ever owned. This one is very close second. And over time it probably will be my #1, but that car really meant something to me, and the fact that Andrew still has it and is at least trying to take care of it and has plans for it really just makes me feel good. So, all right, guys, I'm going to leave you with it. And as always, thanks for watching.